Now let's look at the transitive property. The transitive property tells me that if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Think of it as a train of equalities or equations. This is very similar to your law of syllogism that we talked about before. So for example, if x equals y and y equals 6, then x must equal 6 by the transitive property. You should note that many times when we can use the transitive property, we could also use the substitution property. Alright, so those are some 6 new items to add to your list. And don't forget, you also already have 2 postulates. You have the segment addition postulate and the angle addition postulate. So make sure you have those on your list as well. Okay, now that we have a decently long list building, let's look at another example. This one is going to be much more difficult, so try your best. If you need to look at the solution, that's okay. In this example, based on the diagram below, determine whether the measure of angle EBA, there's EBA in blue, is equal to the measure of angle DBC. I just highlighted DBC in red. If so, provide justifications that prove why the statement is true. And notice the picture that we have here is the design for a wall light at a local movie theater. We want to prove that the angle in blue, angle EBA, is equal to the measure of angle DBC. Usually when approaching an idea like this, sketch out some ideas. Sketch some thoughts you have, write down, jot down any little notes until you have an idea of how you're going to get from what you're given in the picture to what you're trying to prove. Me, when I look at this, I look at angle EBA, the blue angle, and I realize that the measure of angle EBA equals the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. I also can look at the angle DBC, and I notice that the measure of angle DBC is composed of angle 1 and angle 2. These both have angle 2 in them. That's probably going to be important. I also know that 1 is congruent to 3. It's marked so in our picture. Well, then it only makes sense that if 1 is equal to 3 and 2 is equal to 2, then the two angles must equal each other. Well, let's try to write this in a formal proof. Let's start with what we're given, what we know right away. From this picture, I know that the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3. I then know that the measure of angle EBA equals the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, and also that the measure of angle DBC equals the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 1. Let's start listing some reasons. For the first one, I'm given that 1 and 3 are congruent.